How is everybody doing? Well, I had the most wonderful August. It was such a just like a really good end to the summer. We went on a couple of vacations. It's been great and felt pretty good most of August. Today I woke up with a little bit of a migraine. So if I'm a little weird, that would be why. I'm going to try to power through. We're going to make it short and sweet. I got on here and I was like, well, I think I can do it. I think we got this. Hello everyone. Welcome. Please chime in the comments as you come in. Let me know where you're coming in from. How's the weather? It's getting a little bit chilly here in Tennessee, and I'm excited for fall. Just a little bit about me if we haven't met yet. I like to refer to myself as a live stream producer and a content traffic cop. And what I mean by that is it's my favorite way to work with people. So I did social media before doing live streaming specifically, and I struggled with knowing what my client needed me to post for them. I didn't have their expertise. I wasn't in their industries, and trying to figure out like how do I make content without really knowing what they know in their brains, right? So live streaming has been the perfect way for me as a social media manager to kind of like we go live once a month, usually most of my clients, and then I have content to pull from that live stream to create carousels or repurpose videos or things like that. So I'm not necessarily making the content. My client is always still making the content. I just kind of make it look pretty and make sure it gets to the places that it needs to go at the right time. Good morning, Leslie. Good to see you. I know, darn migraines. Good to see you coming in from New York. Is it getting cool, chilly up there? Craig, so good to see you. I always see you in the comments of Coffee with Kim. So fun to have you here with me today. Thank you for being here. Please chime in with questions. As always, it's me and you today. So I am here to answer anything that I can about live streaming. So I always like to share a little win and fail of my life every month. Just trying to like help me get used to kind of reflecting on things. Hi, Aman, good to see you. My happy win of the month for sure was getting to meet Giacomo in Nashville. Some of you that have joined Coffee with Kim know who he is. He's amazing, from Italy, and he came all the way to Tennessee, and I was able to drive down and see him, and that was definitely one of the coolest things. I wouldn't know him without live streaming and without Coffee with Kim. So it was just fun to see internet friends become, get to meet in real life. So it was very cool. We had breakfast and it was fun. And then my fail of the month is that I definitely had a software fail this month, which I think is just part of online business. So anywho, we're going to jump right into the good stuff. I would love to hear from y'all. What is your biggest pet peeve about live streaming? Is there anything that you have noticed joining live streams that you've been like, I wish people didn't do this, or I wish people did more of this, whatever it is? I would love, love, love to hear, because sometimes I think I know like what bothers people, and it's interesting to always hear different perspectives on that. I'll go first. My biggest pet peeve about live streaming is people who aren't actually live. So I think if you're going to do a live stream and you're not actually live with the audience, you should just do a really good pre-recorded video. It's always pretty obvious when somebody isn't live. You have people popping in the comments and nobody is responding, meaning like the host on screen isn't responding. And it can just kind of make for like an awkward feeling that I think the audience and the host can feel. Which is why I'm always like, if you're going to be live, try your best to be live. I know that there's times that people will like have to do pre-recorded videos for whatever reason, but I would say almost every one of my clients, when we have a time like that where they're like, okay, do we reschedule or do we post a pre-recorded video? I'm like, let's reschedule, because when you do a pre-recorded video, it kind of loses your authenticity a little bit, in my opinion. But some people don't mind. Some people do not mind. Leslie said she's agreeing. I was just about to say that if it's live, it needs to be live. Yeah, because it's awkward. Like, and then it's just that awkward feeling the rest of the time, even if the information is really, really good. Okay. So I have three different things I wanted to talk with y'all about. We're going to talk about encouraging comments, how to make that like more feel like the comment section is more open for people. We're going to talk about how to encourage people to join you actually live, not watching the replay, and my little tips for that. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about like how to promote the episode. So just so you know, as we go through this, I am the producer. I'm usually behind the scenes. Hey Rakesh, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I'm usually behind the scenes, and I'm telling you all of these things as a producer, not as a live streamer. So as I go through them, you're going to be like, "Hey, Shelby, but you didn't do that, or you're not doing that." That's okay. I know the things. Sometimes I don't practice the things, right? So as we go through, just know that I'm fully aware of this. But I have been able to be behind the scenes of some really, really awesome hosts and live streamers who do a great job. And I'm telling you what I've learned, not necessarily what I have been able to put into practice yet. It's completely different skill set to be in front of this camera to be producing it. So I'm learning, just like everybody here probably. So first tip we're going to go over is how to encourage an active comment section. So I've worked with people who have over 100K in followers and their comment sections aren't active. And it's always really confusing to me because it's like we've got a huge RSVP, we've got huge live viewer numbers, but the comment sections are crickets. And it's hard because it's like there's a couple of things that you have to do to help people feel comfortable even chiming into the comments. So tip number one, the camera presence, obviously, is huge. So for me, this is something I struggle with because, like I said earlier, I'm more behind the scenes, but becoming comfortable with involving the comments first and foremost, but comfortable on screen just to make everybody else feel comfortable. So having a good setup, showing up with just a calm, collected attitude, knowing what you're going to talk about. It's the public speaking thing, right? So that's always tip number one is like the more at ease you are, the more at ease your comment section will be, or more active your comment section will be. People who are really, really good at this, Kim Kalp, of course, I'm gonna say her because I have seen her handle so many different live streaming snafus with such grace. And I'm always like, oh, like she just does such a good job. And then she does such a great job of involving the audience. So, hey, James, good to see you. Great that you're here. I feel like it's a testament to how awesome her live streams are that y'all are here too, because I know so many of you, good morning, Jeff, are coming from Coffee with Kim. So I always have to say her camera presence, the way that she hosts, the way that she asks questions, all of that is something I've learned so much from. The other person I love to join her live streams is LaShonda Brown. She is incredible. She does such a good job with live streaming. I believe she goes live once a week. And then she has a community where she goes live, I think, for just the community once a week, something like that. But her main like content creation is live streaming, and she does such a good job. They're always so much fun to watch. And the comment section's always really active on hers too. So those are two creators that I would 100% study for like camera presence itself. Number two is involving the audience. Obviously, acknowledging people quickly as they come into the comment section to let them know you are in fact live. Asking questions, answering questions. That's the other pet peeve I probably have is when people ask questions to their audience and it's like once they ask the question or the audience asks the question, they don't acknowledge or answer or something like that. That's something that I think if you're going to do a live stream, you need to actually be paying attention to your audience. Your audience is people. It's not names and numbers. Doesn't matter. in my opinion, it's about the depth of the relationship that you're creating with your audience versus the reach. So when you post a like awesome vertical video with lots of information, those are great. And those are where you're going to go viral. Like that content will get shared and all of that stuff. That's awesome. Live streaming, I like to think of as two different things. So you have video content and you have live streaming. The live streaming is where you can really get to know your audience, really get to know what they actually want to learn from you, things like that. And I think a lot of times creators kind of miss out on that opportunity because they come to a live stream with something that they're ready to share or teach, which is always great. I think you should always come with some sort of substance, but they're missing out on the interaction of like actually getting that feedback from the audience and answering questions and knowing a little bit more about who it is that actually tunes into their content. So I have a couple of tools that I love for kind of involving the audience. These are some that I think a lot of people could benefit from if they're first like getting their audience involved. StreamYard has a great giveaway tool. It's one of the reasons I can't get rid of StreamYard yet is that I haven't found another tool that does giveaways quite as awesome as StreamYard does. So it's just streamyard.com/giveaway. And when you get on there, it will have you like connect the live stream that you're doing a giveaway on. This is how we do like when Kim does her LinkedIn profile audits for all of you who have joined for that. These are like how we do that is that you enter a hashtag, it enters into that, and then we have the fun little spinny wheel. That's one of the tools. So that's an easy way, especially for people who maybe don't know you yet, who don't want to like interact and kind of like have conversation. Leslie says, creating relationships. Yes, creating relationships with people in the comments. So for people who maybe don't want to engage with you yet, which is fair. Like sometimes you hop into a live stream, you're like, who is this person? Why do I care about this? Like that kind of thing. Um, this is a great like first kind of buy-in is these giveaways. So that they're engaging, they're commenting on it, and then they're seeing their name. Like there's something about somebody seeing their name on screen that makes them be like, oh, like she's talking to me. Like I want to come back and talk more. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but usually when somebody asks a question and then it's answered on the live stream, they're way more likely to share comments or like ask more questions in the comments kind of thing. So it's kind of like an easy first buy-in. Jeff said, oh, I didn't know StreamYard did that. Yes, this is why one of our audits, we tried a different streaming platform and we were like, we're going back to StreamYard because of this specific feature of the giveaway feature. So that is why I love the giveaways. Also, you can definitely use them as like genuine giveaways to give away books or things like that, swag kind of thing. We've done a lot of that too with a different client of mine, which is always really fun. The other two I wanted to mention are AHA Slides. LaShonda Brown uses that one a lot. So if you join any of her live streams, that is what she's using. She's not like, it's not like a secret either. She promotes them all the time and has a great relationship with them. Another client of mine, Tatiana, uses Slido. That's a fun one too. That would be one I would use if you didn't want. So Slido and AHA Slides would be options if some people are a little like nervous about actually commenting or engaging on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has the feature where you can see what people have commented on. So for example, I have a client who does more sensitive content, I guess I would say. Like I have some that were like mental health, another who was like more lawyer type of things, and people might not want their name associated with the live stream because on LinkedIn you can see the comments, what they comment on. So these two are great options, AHA Slides and Slido. Great options for if you know that like people might be a little bit more nervous to engage, that's what I would use. So, yeah, like Jeff says, people love seeing their names on here. Yep. It's the LinkedIn version of Times Square. Exactly. So those are the tools that I encourage for just letting your audience know, hey, I'm here, I care, and I want to hear from you, that kind of thing. So, and always acknowledging your audience as quickly as you can, saying hello, talking back with them. That's what makes live streaming fun, in my opinion. Um, a lot of people use live streaming and podcasting kind of synonymously, which is fine and great. But I do think that there is a missed opportunity when you're not acknowledging that you're live and that you're talking with your audience and you're just trying to record a podcast episode live kind of thing. So that's my take on that. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, my last thing, was encouraging live views. So encouraging people to join you live instead of watching the replay. So in my experience with live views, you usually have about half of your RSVPs that will show up live roundabout. So you have 100 RSVPs, you usually have about 50, depending on the day or time. Sometimes it's less or more. But don't be discouraged by that, because if you go and you look at your analytics a week later, it's almost doubled what your RSVPs are. So let's just use 100 as the example. You have 100 RSVPs, about 50 people join you live, and then about 200 people usually will see the replay. And then usually you have way more impressions than that. So the analytics on LinkedIn have gotten a lot better on this. So if you're ever curious, that like you can totally deep dive like when people joined, how long they joined, when they dropped off, when they got bored. All of that is really important and good for you to look at, even if it's super cringy and not fun for you to dive into. I think a lot of times when people go live, they're like, okay, whatever, it's done. But looking back on the analytics a week later is so important, even if you hate it. Just do it. Let's see. Jeff has a question. Have you done or seen LinkedIn Lives longer than an hour? Wondering if one would lose their audience at, say, 90 minutes. So I have done, yes, to answer your question, yes. I have done longer live streams. I think it depends on what you're prepping your audience for. For example, I had one who like promoted it as a 2-hour stream. So people knew that it was going to be that long, blocked it. Most LinkedIn, when you create the event and then people hit that little attend button on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will block an hour on people's schedule. So if you go over an hour, almost always you're losing people. I always say don't go over 45 minutes because I've seen on the analytics at about 45 minutes, people have to go. So 30 to 45 minutes is a sweet spot. I feel like longer than that, you're asking people to commit a little bit too much time, unless there's like, for example, I know somebody who has something that they're promoting and they have specific, like from this time to this time, like their agenda is very specific and they're having different people joining them. So almost like I wouldn't say like a workshop, but webinar type of thing, where it's like, okay, people know this is a 3-hour, 2-hour like time frame, and here's exactly what they're doing. So I would just say be really careful when you're planning live streams that are longer than an hour to communicate that to your audience, because it can always feel a little, I don't want to say invasive, but just like a little bit like we're asking too much when we ask them to stay over 45 minutes. Let's see, Leslie says, I stick to 30 minutes. Yep, it seems to be an amount of time that people can commit to. Exactly. That's exactly what I think. And I always say 30 minutes is perfect for solo streams. 45 minutes is really great for conversations, because most of the time, if it's a host and a guest, it takes a minute to kind of like get in the flow of the conversation. I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but it seems like we get the good stuff from the guest around the 20-minute mark. It seems like 20 to 40 minutes is my favorite part of the conversation. So maybe longer sessions should allow comfort breaks. That's a good idea, Craig. I didn't even think of that. I actually, yeah, that's a good idea of like just some sort of like break in the stream, some music. Everybody go get like some tea and come back with us. I like that. Okay, let's see. So encouraging live views. Back to that. One thing that I think is super underrated, that most creators won't do, is engaging with the audience beforehand. And what that looks like is, I think I wrote, let's see. Yeah. So here's some of my ideas on this. DMs are so powerful. Like, I think that this is something that is super overlooked in the creator in like industry, is that sending a DM to somebody and being like, "Hey, you asked me this question about live streaming. I'm going to go live next week and answer this and some other things in the stream. I would love if you could come." Or if somebody sends you a message, and you don't have time, this is like live streaming can be a superpower for people who have huge audiences that they can't get back to in their DMs super quickly. Um, Not my problem. I definitely do not have this problem, but I work with people who do, where their inbox is just slammed with almost, it seems like the same question, like from multiple people, which is always really fun and good feedback for us, like for me or the creator, because it's like, hey, a lot of people have asked you about this specific thing. What if we did a live stream about it? And then you can go have like a pretty quick message that says, "Hey, I'm going to talk about this on this date. Please feel free to join." And making it as personal as possible, of course. I know we don't all have a bajillion hours in the day, so that you can have like some sort of copy paste, but just trying to make it a little bit more personable. But reaching out to people on direct messages is so much more powerful than any post or email blast or anything. It's just that it requires time. So I always I have time blocked for the creators I work with, where I'm making sure that we're in those DMs, making sure that if there is an opportunity to invite somebody to the live stream, they're getting invited. And most of the time, it's not me responding to those. Uh, Most of my creators do that themselves, but getting them the space to be able to actually respond to comments and DMs is huge. I think that that's something that I didn't really think about not being a creator, is how much time it really requires for people to respond to DMs and comments. But I think the most successful creators I work with outsource other things so that they can do that piece of it, which is cool. Another idea for getting people to join you live would be sending newsletters like email blasts, reminding them that you're live on this date and what time and what you're talking about. And then just cross posting on different platforms like Instagram with like behind the scenes, or like, here's what to expect, my next live stream kind of thing. Um, which leads me to this one, this is one of those that is a rule that I don't follow, that I've seen work really, really well and should follow, is setting a consistent date and time. So a lot of people like me, I will go live kind of sporadically. Most of the time, it's the end of the month, and it's a different time, and it's not consistent. But the creators that I have that set consistent dates and times always get more engagement, always get a better community. Uh, it makes a difference. It is for sure a tip that I don't follow that if I did, I would do better. So let's see. Jeff is asking, do you think most presenters should have someone behind the scenes running the shows and comments? Yes. So two things on this. Running the show, y'all never know, like, I can't remember when it was, but, like, I went live not knowing that I was muted for the whole stream, because I was behind the scenes, or I was on screen instead of behind the scenes, and that was the day that I was like, "Ah, I need to actually follow my own advice and have a producer behind the scenes," because silly old me was like, "I know how to do the live part of it," but again, you can't be the host and producer at the same time effectively. You can, and I do. So I'm being a little hypocritical on that because sometimes I do. But I think if especially if you want to show up really well, making sure somebody's there. Comments. Comments is different depending on the size of your audience and how many people you expect to be there. StreamYard has a great feature where you can star comments. And so I love when I am like producing a busy show, I'm just starring comments that the host should look at. So I always have somebody like starring things. Leslie, to your point, I have Natasha on my team is usually behind the scenes with me, helping me with things like this. It's also a great tool to help for me with training my team on how to do live streaming because it's a little less high stakes when it's me, right? So yes, I always like to have somebody behind the scenes with me. And when I would say it's less about managing the comments though, and for me, because my audience isn't huge, and more about making sure all the things are doing the things like they should. Like my audio's coming through properly, it's not lagging, things like that that you just can't really tell when you're the one who's on screen. So, yes, I think especially if you're nervous, having someone behind the scenes just to like troubleshoot things does help significantly. Let's see what James says. Doing it on your own is hard. Just the other day, recorded a video with a client of ours and forgot to hit the record button. No, that is so funny, James, because I have done the same thing. Like, I swear it's two different brains. I swear, like the host brain and the producer brain don't not the same. Two different skill sets, two different brains. Okay, my last tip for how to encourage more people to show up with you live is going to be scheduling your stream at least 2 weeks in advance. This is something that is actually harder than I anticipated. Like, this is one of those things where I was like, oh, like, not a big deal. But this is the biggest struggle of mine is being like, hey, creator, we haven't scheduled our stream in 2 weeks because 2 weeks feels so long, but it's not, right? So getting there and being like, we have to get this scheduled, have to get it on the LinkedIn algorithm circulating. It makes a big difference in the RSVP numbers and in the like people being able to show up live because like I said, when they hit that little attend button on LinkedIn, it adds to their calendar. If you give people about 2 weeks, usually they are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna join that live. And like it's just not gonna fall off the calendar. Um, and like James said, doing secondary posts to remind people that it's coming up 100%. So I would say schedule a week or schedule 2 weeks in advance at least, post a week in advance, letting them know. And then if you can, post 2 days before. That's about how many I would recommend. It can get a little repetitive. But I think that people are busy and most of the time people want to like show up and be a part of things. But it's just human nature to kind of forget. So that was all of my tips for today on increasing viewership and engagement while you are live. As always, would love to hear your thoughts. If there was anything that I missed, anything that you've noticed people do really well, or any creators that you really think do a great job, please send them to me so I can see how they do what they do. Because I'm always curious on what people are enjoying, what people engage with, and why. Because, like I mentioned earlier, it really does have less to do about the reach. So, 100,000 followers, you could have 100,000 followers, you could have 10 comments because you don't engage with them. Kim, we've been talking about you. Happy Friday. Good to see you. Um, but really, it's about live streaming is more about the depth of your relationship with your audience and a deeper connection than it is about going viral and reaching a million people. And in my opinion and in my experience, it has like meant more for my business to create fewer, deeper relationships than go viral, if that makes sense. Um, so thank you guys so, so much. Let's see, Kim says, I love that you're always a learner, Shelby. Thank you, Kim, because this skill of being in front of the camera is one that I am learning constantly. It's different. It's very different. Um, so just a reminder, I do have a LinkedIn Learning course all about live streaming, all about StreamYard. I share some of these like more practical tips of like how to start and stop your stream, how to set up your studio, that kind of thing. And then I also share some of these more relational things about how to engage people and how to create deep relationships through live streaming. So thank you all for being here. Y'all are the best. I love seeing all of your names come through. And I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, like James is saying. And I will see you probably end of September. So thank you.